This has been a bit of a doozy. We do not have a direct answer from Tesla. I'm not gonna try to dangle the carrot in front of you and act like at the end of the video I'm gonna have an answer. We don't. What I'm talking about in today's video is just collecting all of the possible information we have on the matter so that hopefully you can decide which ones are true and which ones are not true. But for those of you who may have missed it, the Tesla Model Y, before a couple days ago, you used to be able to reserve one and production didn't start until late next year, which we all knew was outdated, but they let you choose 3 different options. You could either do performance, long-range all-wheel drive, or long-range rear-wheel drive, which was actually a somewhat popular model with the Model 3, although they discontinued it last summer in June of 2019. Tesla first opened the reservation website for the Model Y back in March of 2019, so at the time that they posted this on their website, long-range rear-wheel drive was definitely a thing, and it was probably one that was selling pretty well for the Model 3, and we didn't exactly get an answer as to why Tesla decided to discontinue it. One end, some people may be assuming that perhaps it just wasn't selling very well, maybe that was their least popular model, or what I find more likely is that more people were ordering that one and the profit margin on it was much lower, so in order for Tesla to remain profitable and continue their income stream, they had to make long-range and all-wheel drive only option. So now there was just a choice of long-range all-wheel drive or standard range rear-wheel drive. You could not have a mixture of the two and just have a rear-wheel drive model with a larger battery pack, which in my opinion kind of sucks. I don't know the details on the profit margin of that particular model, but I do know that the battery pack is likely the most expensive part of an electric vehicle, so there's a very good chance that at that lower price point that the long-range rear-wheel drive option offered, Tesla was losing more money on that one compared to the all-wheel drive long-range option. So Tesla needs to have a cash flow. They want to generate a profit. I get that. I don't want them to fail. I don't think they're hoarding cash right now. I just, from a consumer standpoint, totally missed that option for the Model 3. And now they've gotten rid of it for the Model Y. So my big question is, what happens to the people who ended up reserving a long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y, which probably was one of the more popular reservation options because dual motor long-range is about $5,000 more than the original price advertised for long-range rear-wheel drive. And the range was actually worse. Before this EPA range got updated to 315, if you wanted all-wheel drive, you had to settle with 280 miles of range. Obviously, that's not the range anymore, but before that, long-range rear-wheel drive offered 300 miles of range, which was way more appealing. And of course, at that lower price point, and given range is a very important factor in an EV, I don't doubt for a second that there is a substantial number of Model Y reservation holders that specifically asked for that particular model. So what happens to that model now that nowhere on the ordering process do they reference it? It's not like standard range where it says, you know, standard range will come in early 2021. I think it'll probably come sooner, but nowhere on the site do they say long-range rear-wheel drive will come later. Well, kind of, except for this Model Y FAQ section where it was pointed out that this says there's currently no plans to bring long-range rear-wheel drive into production. So that makes me wonder, if they're not taking orders for that configuration anymore, does that mean they're not planning on making them at all? In which case, that kind of sucks because it would mean people who reserve that model will now have to choose between settling with standard range, which originally for the Model Y was advertised to be around 230. I'm sure it's more than that, so I'm going to go ahead and round it up to around 250. But that's still significantly lower than the original promised range of 300 that they reserved the Model Y for. Or they have to go ahead and front an extra $5,000 on top of what they were expecting to pay and just go ahead and go with dual motor all-wheel drive, which yes, range is better than what they thought they were going to get. I'm happy about that. I still think dual motor is a great option for people out there, but what's going to happen to those reservation holders? So I contacted Tesla customer service to see if I could get an answer out of them, and the bizarre thing is we're getting different responses depending on who we're asking and, you know, the time of day. So in one time of the day, someone got a response that said that Tesla is going to make long-range rear-wheel drive versions of the Model Y, but only for the people who reserved one. Now they're not taking any more orders, which means that they're just going to make the set number of reservations they had, and that's it, no more. In which case, if one of you out there reserved a Model Y of that configuration, you're going to have a rare car because you cannot order it anymore, and it's possible that Tesla is just going to make that limited number, which we don't even know how many there are. They have not disclosed to us how many were reserved. That means hold on to your reservation, okay? Don't change it because that means the range of that model is probably going to even beat 315 because this is a whole 35 miles higher than originally promised. So imagine what that would mean for the long-range rear-wheel drive option. That would be like 330-mile range, which is kind of insane. Obviously, your performance isn't as great, but if you live in a warmer climate and you don't really care that much about traction control and you just want to have decent range, range, that option totally makes sense for a lot of people, especially if you don't really care much about performance. It's still a very fast car, but hey, 330 miles, that beats the Model 3 range. Even at its best, it was around 325. So that's a possibility, but certain people from customer service have said they have no new announcements about the Model Y production line, so they can neither confirm or deny if there ever is going to be a long-range rear-wheel drive option. But the interesting part is, to those people who have those reservations already, they've already been updated from before. So I got in contact with a few fans who did reserve that configuration, and what they noticed is that their reservation automatically got updated to the 19-inch Gemini wheels. So at no additional cost, that did not change the original price they agreed to pay for. They're just getting 19-inch wheels now, which is kind of cool, because beforehand, the default used to be the 18-inch Aero wheels. Maybe Tesla decided that's not worth it. So within people's own reservation areas, their wheels automatically got upgraded, no additional cost, but that option for long-range rear-wheel drive is still listed. So that means they're willing to go through the trouble to update everybody's reservations and say, hey, we're gonna let you know you have the new wheels because production's starting up soon. But they didn't want to go as far as to say that, you know what, we're not gonna make that configuration, so now you have to choose all-wheel drive, which is, again, $5,000 more, or you're gonna have to wait for standard range. So best case scenario, hopefully they bring it back. That's what I would like. They're just not planning on taking any more orders for it right now, but maybe, as some people have already speculated on Twitter, once they start doing standard range production, which is of course a rear-wheel drive option, that's when they'll also start bringing back the long-range rear-wheel drive option, because I think that would be a really compelling offer to get an EV with 330 miles of range and all the great features the Model Y has at a lower price point than all-wheel drive. I think that would be amazing, but I get it, profit margins is a problem and stuff, so maybe they're not bringing it back, but at the very least, I really hope that they can actually deliver to the people who reserved one, actually deliver the car they were promised when originally ordering, and don't put them in this awkward period of you have to go dual motor or you have to go standard range, because that would kind of suck from a consumer point of view. But I could totally see it happening, so it's completely possible that for the sake of simplicity at the factory right now, they just want to do dual motors only, and then maybe later in the year they'll start doing rear-wheel drive, and that's when they'll bring back the long-range option. But just transparency on Tesla's end would be super helpful. I want them to bring it back for both the Model 3 and the Model Y, but I feel like sales are doing really great for them right now, so they probably don't see a reason to change it. But yeah, to those people who reserved one, really hoping you get it. Let me know if you guys hear anything else down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day. Take care.